Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I would say I'm in a meditative zone, but I'm not. I'm just in here listening to music, just candlelight going on, smoking a little wedding cake, enjoying myself. Nothing too serious. But I saw what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had posted in regards to Kyrie, and essentially, it just kind of set with me. I guess is the way I described the feeling. It sat with me. I wasn't really certain of the context in which things were said. And of course, I'm the worst person to use as a quoter, if that's a word. I don't quote people very well for whatever reason. But what I can say is um, the excerpt of what I saw essentially was Kareem just basically saying that Kyrie's line of thinking um, was a sign of the school system having failed him. And I don't know what else one can say that can further put somebody down intellectually than that. Um, and I just, I expect a higher line of communication. I guess what I would expect between one legend to the next. I guess you can say, and I look at Kyrie Irving and his skill set and what he brings to the game as legendary, and of course Kareem on a much higher, much more accomplished level. But at the end of the day, we're talking about two of the great artists who've shown us a lot of what it is that we're going to take from the game. So to see Kareem, um, you know, speak this way of Kyrie, it really does make one sit back and wonder where it comes from. When he spoke of Shaq with a certain tone, it did the same thing. And I think it's one of those situations where it's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one person. You know what I mean? He has an opinion, just like I got an opinion. I'll say what I have to say, walk away, think about it. Maybe it sits with me. Maybe I change my mind. Whatever. Maybe someone says something in the course of a conversation, and I might react and say, "Man, this is why this person's an idiot." Blah blah blah. And really, I'm not fully assessing what I actually think of their mindset, but more so just reacting to what it is that I see they're doing that I think is stupid. So I don't know which context. I honestly don't. And so I try to come to you guys with an open mind when I hear things, especially when I understand that they're fed to me for a certain reason by a certain entity. So whatever. But at the end of the day, you just want to see that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is cognizant of that and uses his words in such a way that can't be um, understood as putting somebody down. You know what I mean? And if that's his intent, then he's going to receive the energy that comes with being somebody that puts somebody down. Now, whether or not there are going to be many people who agree with him or not, or that's not my place to come here and assess any of that, especially when I don't have the words directly in front of me. But what I can say is it's the energy surrounding words that you have to be um, aware of. How things come off. And when you say certain things, definitive things, not only are you making a declaration about somebody else, but you too are making a declaration about yourself and how critical you are, or how certain you may feel of things without actually knowing that person. It can be a little tricky. And I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar might have stepped out and said some things here that made him look a certain way once again. And I don't know if that way is a good way. Um, we're talking about a legend here who's done amazing things for this world and for this game. So I'm not sitting here trying to even think about the fullness of who he is when he speaks. Just that he speaks this way, it's going to feel a certain way. And because he is who he is, it's going to matter more so than maybe myself or anyone to the left of me or to the right of me. You know what I mean? And when you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you have to respect what your words will do and what they'll mean to the world when you speak. And so you'll say certain things and they will be fact. You know what I mean? Just because of who you are and what you represent. So I think that is the gist of what I can say. I obviously Don't know Kyrie Irving, and I don't follow him close enough to assess his intellect. I listen to what people say about him, and I look at what he posts, and what I've taken from what he posts is a lot of good things, positive things. You know what I mean? And what I see is a great basketball player. Other than that, he's a guarded person. And a lot of what is said about him is narrative based, and I understand that. A lot of that has to do with numbers and contractual things and agreements and disagreements and things of that nature that I only moderately understand based on how closely I pay attention to. But at the end of the day, strangers are talking to strangers, and I don't know the motivation behind what's being said. All I can say is, when you look at it at face value, it doesn't feel good. That's really what I can say. And whether or not people choose to agree or disagree, I'm not here. I don't care. I don't care that much, to be completely honest with you. I don't assess people that way. You know what I mean? I look at, if you want my opinion, this is how I look at it. I'm someone that, if you follow me, you probably would say the same thing. And that's why the words don't feel good. You know what I mean? Because I would say I'm someone that the educational system has failed. But not necessarily that the educational system failed me. It's just that I started to see the beginning stages of it fail me, and I walked away from it. So I failed myself in identifying what looked like something that just didn't vibe with my spirit entirely. And that's how I identified school as a child. So me, and I didn't go. I just didn't go. But I learned what I thought I needed to learn and have functioned all the way up until this point. Now, maybe because I don't have an education, or what people would say is an education, which in this country, in this world, in this land, is paperwork represented by tests and different things that you've taken and studying and hours that you've put in to understand a curriculum that has been assigned to us that would define our intellect. And so I respect it, especially the work put in and what it represents. And I wish I would have taken the time to really follow it properly, but my perception of what it was and the social nature of it, it was just something that I needed to stay away from in my mind. So would I say it failed me? Maybe. I thought it was. I identified such. And so I steered clear. And so, listening to Kareem say that, I would be like, well, he might listen to my line and think it and look at the pattern from which I do certain things. I say the same thing, but I wouldn't say that's the end of the conversation in regards to my intellect. I wouldn't say that just because I'm not the most thorough individual, or that I may have all my T's crossed and my I's dotted, that I wouldn't necessarily have a few things to share that might be reasonable in nature. And even if I don't follow the curriculum or be deemed as sane because I don't follow certain norms that people tend to follow, or maybe don't engage in certain activities that would make it so that I'm considered normal, what I am is alive. Well, in terms of able to identify when someone's being critical of one's intellect and when someone's being just downright evil. And so I just kind of pay attention to what I see and judge on past situations that I've seen. And looking at this, Kareem looked like he was just kind of being evil, to be honest. And so I don't like to speculate on why I think a person is being a certain way towards someone else, because there's too many blanks. When it comes to strangers, there's no way of knowing. I just look at energy. I identify hate. I identify jealousy. I identify evil. I identify bitterness. I identify, you know what I mean? Just certain energies that surround words, that surround phrases, that surround body language and things of that nature. It's about as far as I can take it. And so when I read those words and I identify who it is, that's all I sense. It's hate, evil. More of the same energy that Kyrie Irving has been faced with since he took the stances against certain things that he's taken. Now, maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is speaking from his own point of view. Maybe his circumstances might have made it so that his point of view may be necessary to share at this time. I don't know what the truth is in regards to that, but what I can say is the timing is very interesting. I don't know what the context is, so maybe that would relate to the timing, but the season is about to begin. Kyrie is up for an extension that everyone seems to want him to have all of a sudden, even though we know that they've been speaking against that behind the scenes. And so we've been following that very closely. So now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is speaking on this, and his official social media accounts are speaking on this. And I'm just wondering if it's him speaking or is it his team speaking, and is the motivation behind that? I don't know. The school system failed me, so I'm not going to think along the lines that I should when it comes to something like this. I kind of think along the lines that maybe someone else would, someone who didn't follow the curriculum that he respects as intellect. But nevertheless, I try not to personalize such things because he's talking about Kyrie and not myself. However, as a Laker fan of almost 30 years, I can't say, Kareem, that didn't feel too good, man. It didn't feel too good. I will say, though, if I were you and I felt that way about Kyrie Irving, the best thing I would try to do is reach out to him. Not to say that you haven't, but to say that that would be the best way to follow this up, in my opinion, to speak with him, so that you can take what is identified as energy that is evil and turn it into something a bit more constructive in nature. So I don't think Kyrie can take anything from that. I don't think I could take anything from that. And that's why I turned on the camera, so I can turn something this into something I could take something from. Because all I could take from that was sadness and a dismissal of a human being that I respect in nature based on what it is he displays on TV. No different than you, Kareem, which is why I'm disappointed. And in a time where one of my other heroes that I grew up watching disappointed me in Brett Favre, I rooted for him harder than I rooted for Kareem. So this isn't really something that's letting me down even more so than that. But what I can say is this is a slight letdown because you want to see people just respect one another, just in general, regardless if you think somebody's intelligent or not, or you think they got it all together, or you think their line of thinking is something that you can respect or what have you. Even if you think their line of thinking is dangerous, I don't think you can change their minds or help them get on the track you want them to get on by firing darts at them that are going to do nothing but insult them and make them think poorly of themselves if they're not strong in their own convictions. I think intelligent people need to be understanding of how they can affect other people's mental health. If we're really intelligent, then we understand that our words can sharp. They can harm people. And if we intend to, they can harm us too. And our reputation when we say those words. So, as I always say, we speak for forever, man. And as somebody whose legacy is something that we look back on here in this moment, this isn't the type of energy he should be leaving us with. Belittling people because he doesn't agree or because he doesn't respect their line of thinking, as if there isn't more to people than that. How about their feelings? Did you discard that in this conversation? Or am I taking it out of context? Is there more to this? Maybe I should read more into it. I think I will. But for the time being, I can't say. I think they should have a conversation. I really think that. And I think Kareem should be the one to reach out. I really think that. You know, and if Kyrie doesn't want to talk to him, it is what it is. But I think that's a mistake. I think Kyrie should definitely want to speak to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, even if he ain't got nothing good to say to him. It's still Kareem, bro. Grab his time. If he speaks of you, then he'll speak to you, and that is time you want. Even if it ain't for nothing else than to prove his ass wrong. Sit down with that man. If he's willing. If he's not, shame on him. Would you talk bad about somebody like that to public and then you wouldn't sit down with him? I don't believe you'd be like that. That ain't the Laker way. Kyrie may be a Laker someday, unless you're trying to step on that, Kareem, which would disappoint this fan, by the way. Especially since I speak so much about trying to get him here. And it's about winning a championship for our franchise, not about his character or him as a person. I'm trying to get him here because I think he'll help us win. And I think you might have hurt that, Kareem. I think some people might have heard you in our organization, might think maybe we shouldn't go after that piece. And we need that piece to win, I think. Unless you got a better idea, man. Isn't it still about purple and gold at the end of the day? Isn't that what the Skyhook was about? Aren't we about us? Isn't it still about us? I don't know, man. Isn't it still about the NBA, their brotherhood? Isn't it still about that? I don't know, man. And that ain't limited to Kareem. I think everybody should speak a little higher about each other, especially in a field where one another respect one another. When y'all deal with what it is that we dream of being a part of, that we can only have our lives a part of because we're fans or on the sidelines. Y'all are the main event. If y'all don't respect each other, how are we supposed to? If y'all don't respect each other, how are we supposed to want to pay y'all right? You see where I'm going with this? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is disrespecting Kyrie Irving. Why should anybody respect Kyrie Irving? Why should anybody respect any of y'all? Why should the owners respect any of y'all? Where does this end, Kareem? That's what this fan has to ask. Where does this end? Is this considered intelligence, sir? Are we thinking about the fullness of what it is our words are saying? If we're truly thinking about intellect, are we truly thinking about what it is that we do when we say certain things about certain people? In a certain light, black man. I don't know. I think most people are too afraid to say this because they respect you too much. I'm going to say this because I do respect you this much. And I respect myself just as much. To say that no matter who you are in this world, including speaking to the mirror, if you're engaging in bad energy, it's only love that I pointed out. That's bad energy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I respect you greatly and love you greatly for what you've done for us, which is why I respect you to say it. So thank you for what you've done. Please make whatever is necessary right in regards to this energy, because this should not be how we remember you. This should not be a part of your legacy. My name is Brandon Damone, Lonnie Jesse the Lonely Former, BDF 44, and I'm out.